Art on Demand is a production of the Cultural Arts Alliance of Walton County, brought to you with support from Alys Beach, 30A.com, and the State of Florida Department of Cultural Affairs. While these events are provided at no cost to you, we do ask that you donate what you can by visiting our website, culturalartsalliance.com, in order to help the CAA continue to foster creativity, employ artists, and bring you entertainment, education, and engagement through Art on Demand. We hope you love this virtual event.
Hello, and welcome to Art on Demand, produced by Cultural Arts Alliance of Walton County. I'm Grove Fisher, one of the owners of Fisher's Flowers. We specialize in weddings and events here in the 30A area, and today's episode is Backyard to Table. We're in this beautiful environment of Alys Beach in the Red Loggia at the Kaliza Pool, and I'm very excited to talk today about how to create and make some arrangements for your home, how to set a table if you want to entertain your family and friends in your backyard. And I have a really special guest. Her name is Cassie Kelley, and she's agreed to stand up here with me and talk about how she likes to do things when she creates for her own home. And we'll talk a little bit about our process and what her process is, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. Cassie, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
When we asked you, you were all in. You didn't even know what we were doing. You're like, I'll be there. And I just really appreciate that.
Well,
thank you
Grove,
so much.
I have to tell you, all of your events that you put together and your floral arrangements are incredible.
Thank you.
Those of y'all that don't know, she is the top florist and event designer on 30A, and I'm just ready to learn from you. This is such a great opportunity for me. I'm so excited.
Thank you so much. I want to talk about, I know you and I've talked, and I know that you like to entertain, and you like to forage for the flowers that you use.
Yes.
And I think that that is absolutely the coolest thing ever. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about going into your backyard, picking your flowers, coming into your kitchen, and making something that makes you happy.
That
right on?
Sounds fabulous.
So I will talk about, I think some people get a little intimidated by flower design. They think, oh, I can't do it, or it's too hard, and that's just silly. But I do recommend that before you start, you do something to kind of chill yourself out, relax your mind. And for me, it's generally a glass of wine. So if you'd like a glass of wine,
Thank you.
Just chill out, take a little sip.
Never say no.
Now we're ready to design. That's a very, very important part of it. So I'm going to talk about a few things you can do to sort of help yourself when you're working on your own, out of your own backyard. I love a clear vase. I think they're beautiful, but they're not very forgiving. You have to be pretty good at what you're doing. And a lot of people, when I talk to folks, they tell me that their arrangement just falls out and it doesn't stay where they put it.
Right.
So there's one thing you can do that's a bit of a hack, but you can take tape, clear tape, and you can create a grid across the top of your vessel.
Oh, wow.
And what it'll do is it'll stand to just hold your pieces in place when you stick your stems in. Super simple.
How smart.
Yeah, right? And you can't see it because once all of the flowers are in, it goes away. You can't see it. But this is something that I've used. My grandmother taught me this hack. And I think it's really smart, easy. You've got it in your kitchen drawer.
Right.
You don't have to go anywhere.
You like 15 seconds.
Right. And now you can see that you can just stick the stems through the holes,
right,
and it'll hold them up.
Fabulous.
Now, like I said before, clear vases are a little bit unforgiving because the stems are available to be seen. And unless you're really good at that like cool twist or making them all clean and sexy, it looks a little dirty and jumbled. So in order to just take that out of the equation, just use a vase that you can't see through. Yeah, that's a trick, big trick.
I would have never thought about that because I always use clear vases. So
Right.
see, this is
Right?
why I need to be here
And
today.
water gets old and gooky and murky and not very attractive. Never know.
Okay.
Never know. So I have another hack. Everyone uses this in the floral industry, but this is called Oasis.
Okay.
And it's a floral foam, and for me, it's the most forgiving when you're trying to do design because it holds so sturdy.
So where do you get this floral foam?
You can get this from any kind of hobby store in your local area, and they'll have it. You can also go into, most florists will carry it and sell it to you by the brick.
Okay.
It also serves as food for your flowers, so they last a little bit longer if they're in the Oasis. So we're going to use that today.
Perfect.
I already have one in mind. It's been soaking in water overnight, so you can see it's really heavy.
So do you soak them?
Yes,
Okay.
but you don't have to.
Okay.
So what I want you to do is you can take yours and just cram it. It's gonna peel away on the sides, and that's fine. It's kind of fun. Yeah, right?
Okay, I think
That's great. That's great. And then you can just use a basic kitchen knife if you need to just pare off the outside space. It's real soft and easy to use. Just take it off.
Okay.
Okay? Now you're gonna need to put water in this.
Got it.
And it's really thirsty because it's gonna absorb all that water that you put on it. So just pour the water on top. This container's gonna hold it in place for us. Sometimes it floats, that's okay, be patient.
Okay.
When it gets saturated, it'll
Just let
sink.
it get totally soaked so it sinks.
And that's why, for us, we usually soak our oasis overnight before we prepare our flowers the next day, just so we don't have to wait for that time.
Okay. So is it gonna, do you have to put it in the vessel or the vase before you soak it? Like regardless, you can't just soak it in the sink overnight and then squash it in?
It depends on the vessel.
Okay.
If you have to squash it in wet, it's harder.
Okay.
It just peels away when it's dry. It's not as nice.
Every detail on how to do this
not
right.
It's nice when it's hard.
Okay. That is so genius too that they make it where it's plant food.
Yeah, right? Nutrients for your arrangement.
People are so smart.
All right. So Cassie, what we're gonna do is I have chosen flowers that you can get out of your garden or your everyday grocery store. Nothing crazy or over the top about these flowers.
Okay.
And then this morning I took a hike into my own backyard and I cut greenery for us to use.
Beautiful.
Yes. So when I first start doing an arrangement, I have a shape in my mind. Not necessarily the full detailed picture, but kind of an overall shape.
Okay.
And a lot of our clients like to have very structured, symmetrical, beautiful pieces that make them happy.
Right.
But for me, in my personal aesthetic, I like it a little wilder. And so
Right.
we're gonna do that today.
I love that.
Okay.
That's amazing.
So I have here some beautiful southern magnolia.
Okay, and this we can find anywhere in Florida.
Exactly. Side of the road if you're
Right.
brave enough, your
Right.
backyard. And then for me, this will be kind of the largest piece that we have. So
Okay.
it's gonna be our wildest structure, and then we'll kind of work around it.
Okay.
So that oasis is gonna hold it nice and steady. If you have a funky little end like this, sometimes you can just take your snips and you're gonna give it a cut at an angle. That's important because if it touches the bottom of a vase, it still needs to be able to drink. If it were flat, you would make it so that it couldn't take the water in,
Oh, that's
right?
so smart, right.
And when you have something that's kind of hard like this, sort of more stemmy than like a gentle flower stem, you can smash it.
Okay.
So just give it a little smash with the back of your clips or a hammer. Work that aggression out.
So why do you smash it? Just have more.
I think it breaks open the fibers and allows it to drink a little better.
So it lasts longer.
It lasts a little bit longer.
All right.
And then you're just gonna put it wherever you want it in your arrangement.
Okay. Oh, this oasis stuff for the viewers at home is really soft. So I thought it might be tough to stick it in there, but it's easy.
Super simple.
Okay.
And look how strong it is, right?
Fabulous.
And you're on a lazy Susan. You can take it off if you want, or you don't have to. My grandmother always used it because she could turn it around and see the 360 of her arrangement.
Beautiful.
I don't use it because it makes me nervous that I'm gonna knock it over and break it or something. So it doesn't work for me. But it's an option for you.
Well, I've never done it on a lazy Susan before, so we'll try it.
Okay. So when you're down here, do you pick out of the yards here on 30A? I know you and your family have been coming a long time.
We have. I grew up coming to the beach down here because this was the closest beach to Nashville, Tennessee, where I grew up.
Yes.
My husband and I bought our first home down on 30A in 2010. So it's our happy place, and it's just, we've made so many memories down here.
It's so awesome. It is a beautiful place, and we are gifted and blessed by these amazing foliage that we have here.
Yes.
Very coastal,
Yes.
very hardy.
We have some magnolia trees in our yard here, but I haven't ever used branches, and this is so beautiful. But I like to use magnolia leaves for place cards and, write like in a gold pen people's
Absolutely.
names on them. I love
That's
that.
so great. And for me, I think what is inspiring about using something like a branch is that it's sort of nature's art, right? It's nature saying, I think I want to go in this direction, and I say, okay, let's do that. So you take what you've got going on with your form, and I'll take what I've going on with my form.
Okay.
And then we've got back here some flowers. We've got these beautiful blue hydrangea. I know you have them in your yard in Nashville,
Yes.
right? We've got some mini greens. This is actually called chamomile. It's also called feverfew. And if you suffer from bad migraine headaches from allergies, you can put a little bit by your bedside table, and it's medicinal.
Oh,
It'll help
wow.
you, yes. This is something called scabiosa. Horrible name for a beautiful flower. Kind of a wild flower. This is blue thistle. And then back here we have larkspur.
Beautiful.
Again, kind of that wildflower. This grows on the roadside in Texas. This is a really hardy plant, wonderful for making things like boutonnieres that don't have to be in water because they don't need it, unlike the hydrangea.
So Grove, tell me, do you like to typically go with sort of a monochromatic color scheme, or do you like to do lots of different vibrant colors, or does it depend when you're doing your arrangement?
It depends. For me, because I decided to use these blue and white vases, I just wanted to go with sort of a neutral, blue, white, and green, and it's also simple.
Right.
I love color. So if I were to do something on my own, I would probably put more color in it because it makes me happy. But I think if you're starting out, it's sometimes nice to keep it more simple, and then you're not overwhelmed by making it look the way you want it to look.
Right.
Right?
That it'll look good no matter what because it all kind of goes.
Exactly, exactly. And also, the more flowers you introduce, the more complicated it can get. I think, like good food, keep it simple.
Okay.
Okay? So I'm going to, over here, now be very careful because in this particular bucket, I foraged some vine that I think is incredibly looking.
Wow.
Look how beautiful this is. It's also really thorny.
Okay.
But look at that motion, look at that movement.
That
look how
is so
beautiful that is,
pretty,
right?
But very thorny.
Right. So all the beautiful flowers are thorny
Okay.
in nature and other places.
Good to know. Well, so tell me, obviously I'm such a fan of your work, and every time anybody, posts anything on social media about that you do, it's so beautiful.
Thank you.
So how did you get down here, and how long have you been doing this?
So my husband and I moved down here in 2007. We came on a whim. We were living in Birmingham, Alabama at the time, and we had this opportunity to come down here. I didn't know this area at all. I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh, wow.
So the panhandle for me was like retirees and not very exciting.
Right.
So we came down for a visit, and I completely fell in love with it. And so we decided to move down here and make a change. We didn't anticipate staying. We thought we would come down, check it out, see how it went, and if we wanted to go home to Birmingham, we would. And that was 13 years ago.
And here you are.
We never left.
Fabulous hostess.
So I'll give you a little recommendation. I see that that's bothering you, right?
Well, I can't tell if, yes.
It is.
The short answer.
So cut it. So go for it. Cut it. Put that other end, your fresh end, back in. Leave that piece there.
Okay, so cut it right here.
Right. So we'll
Here,
take a
help
little
me.
cut.
Oh, see, this is why you're the pro.
Right, but it's not. It's because you're the pro. It doesn't matter. If it bothers you, cut it, start over.
Right. Easy enough. That looks so, yeah, that was the right move.
So take your time, figure out some of the pieces that you like, and just
Okay.
put them in your piece. I also have some really beautiful, these are literally out of my yard. I don't even know what they're called, but I thought these were beautiful.
these
Look at the little red tips.
Oh, I love that.
Isn't that nice?
So we're in Alys Beach right now.
Yes.
Do you work in here a lot?
We do. We do a lot of events here. We work with the team in Alys Beach to produce several events in this community, but we also do it all over 30A. So we work specifically with the CAA on their Songwriters Festival.
Oh, I love it.
It's my favorite weekend of the year.
It is so fun. My husband's actually played in it before.
Yes.
It's so fun.
It, for me, when it's over, I go into a little tiny depression that it's going to be a whole nother year before we get to experience that. I think in this small community to have such outstanding talent come in and share with us is just magic, and I feel
it's
so
for
fortunate.
such a good cause that
Absolutely.
benefits everyone who's creative who lives in this area.
Yes. We have this tiny little town in this mighty cultural arts association. And they support not only these large events like Songwriters or Arts Quest or Flutterby Festival, but then on the micro level, they are engaged with artists, people who are making pottery or painting or music, any of it, and they support them on so many levels, giving them space to be able to do their work, giving them an opportunity to sell their work. It, for me, is it's equivalent to what you would see in a big city with a mighty force.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad those dollars are well spent at Songwriters Festival.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
What was this called again? I love this.
This is scabiosa, and it comes in several different varieties, but
Okay.
generally it's always going to look like a sweet little wildflower.
It's so pretty.
Yeah.
So also on a different note, are any of these edible? Like would you put them on a plate or, I mean, any like this looks kind of like an edible flower?
No.
Okay.
No, and that's funny because in weddings, we often have people want us to put flowers on their wedding cake.
Oh.
And they want things like calla lilies and anything that you cut that has a milky white residue, don't put it on a wedding cake. It's gonna make you feel real bad the next day.
Okay.
But no, none of these are edible. I do love working with edible flowers. And those, again, are something that you can source from your local grocery store. I know our local Whole Foods has them.
So the other question that I have for you is, it's summer right now for us.
Yeah.
You know, you foraged for this stuff.
Yes.
So it's seasonal, but what are some of your favorite pieces to work with and maybe the different seasons that they are growing? Because especially like for Songwriters Festival that's in January, it's wintertime.
Right.
You know, what works better then versus now in summer?
Well, for us, for the Songwriters Festival, because it's a week-long event, we use things that can sustain being outside for a long time. I love using succulents, things like hydrangeas. As long as you keep their water clean, they'll continue to be beautiful for you.
Good to know.
So we like to work with flowers that are going to really stand up to the test of time. But when we're working with weddings, oftentimes that's dictated to us. The client says, my grandmother grew peonies, and so I have to carry peonies. Or, you know, a couple of years ago when the prince got married, his bride carried Lily of the Valley. So all the brides that year wanted Lily of the Valley. So it's very on trend. It just depends.
Right.
But for me, I like flowers that are going to hang in there with me for a long period of time.
Right. Well, especially after a wedding, you know, if you want to still keep them,
right,
you can have beautiful flowers for a long time.
Right, and also consider that when you set up an event, that flowers are going to sit outside for a long time before the event even starts.
Okay. So the other thing I've heard is to not put like leaves in your water.
Yes.
Is that true?
That's true. That's very important. So when leaves get into the water, they'll start to decompose, and they'll make your water. It makes it not fresh, and so the stems of the flowers have a hard time drinking. Right? And so that's why it makes it hard for flowers to be able to be beautiful when they've been in really old leafy water. It's really important to clean your leaves.
Feels like I'm kind of making a mess over here.
It's okay. So you know what I'll talk to you about is level. Okay. So you've got some really beautiful high pieces up here. Think about this part of your flowers as well. So cut your stems short. Don't be afraid to cut your stems short. If you cut it short, whatever. We'll put it in there somewhere.
Got it.
But that'll sort of help you to sort of build from all three of the levels.
Got it.
So there's low, medium, and the top. Beautiful. Exactly. And see how great that oasis holds it?
It does. Just jam it in there.
Oh, careful with your wine glass, Cass. Okay. That's very, very, very important that we don't spill that. So, Cassie, tell me a little bit more about what you do up in Nashville.
Well, before I became a mom, I have a 4-year-old, and before he was born, I had a lifestyle website called Womanista, and I partnered with a digital media company in Nashville, actually the year that my son was born, and 2 years later, we sold it to CBS. So I guess I'm a tech entrepreneur.
That's
accidentally.
So cool.
But now I am a stay-at-home wife and mom.
Yeah.
And it's been such a change, obviously, but it's been just so special and rewarding. And my husband is in a band called Lady A, and they are a touring country band.
Yes.
So we're out on the road a lot. We're all over the country.
Do you get to go with him?
Ward and I go about 80% of the time.
That's fun.
Yeah, it's really fun, and we're just a traveling family. And the first
traveling carnival.
It's a circus for sure. And the first time we took our son out on the road, he was 4 weeks old.
Oh, so that's awesome.
He's been a little traveling baby for his whole life.
Well, I think that's the way it should be. We have 2 daughters. We have Hayes and Matilda. And when we got pregnant, we had already opened Fisher's Flowers.
Oh, wow.
So I delivered Hayes, our oldest, and 3 days later, we were doing weddings. And I carried her in a little papoose, and she went to work.
You are just a saint.
Well, no, I'm not. I was a working mom, and I loved what I was doing. And so they've just been in the mix. At the same time, my lead designer, Jessica Porter, was pregnant. So we were due 4 weeks apart. So we both had these little tiny babies, and they just went with us.
Right.
And they're pretty cool kids, I think, because of it.
Right.
They can sort of swing with the punches.
Well, and that's such an important message for working moms, that it's when you are passionate about what you do, it might get a little complicated logistically, but that you can continue to do what you love and be a great mom.
Absolutely.
So, which you are proof of that, for
thank
sure.
you.
Given your design and given my design. You're good at what you do.
Does this bring you joy?
I love it.
That's it.
But I don't think I would put this on a table because it's too tall. Like you said, a height issue.
Right, so these are great sideboard entrance table pieces. If you have, some people have really beautiful kitchen islands that you could put it on. I think they're just nice and just in your space. I feel like having living flowers in your home makes your home richer, soulful. And especially if it came out of your backyard.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
So I think that's great.
Well, I love it, and yours is so beautiful.
And to your point about this being really too high to enjoy sitting at a table with this arrangement in the center of it, we're gonna talk now about what we can do for some tablescaping. Another super simple way to make something really beautiful that'll wow your friends and make you feel some joy and still be able to have a wonderful conversation.
Well, awesome. Cheers to that.
Thank you. So Cass, during this time where many of us have had to be social distancing because of this crazy coronavirus, we've been working as a firm to be talking to clients about doing micro events or smaller events or backyard parties. And I love to have friends over and I love to set a beautiful table. I think for some people it can be intimidating and it doesn't need to be. And this is a perfect example of how to do something really easy that's incredibly beautiful and it'll make your friends think you're amazing.
I mean, this is stunning.
Thank you.
This is absolutely stunning.
Thank you. So this is actually an antique dough bowl.
Okay.
And so it's just a hollowed out piece of wood. And I lined it with a little bit of wax paper so that it would protect the wood to some degree and keep the water that's in it from flowing onto the table.
Okay.
Then I put a little bit of dirt and a little bit of rock at the bottom. So some of this is actually planted. It's in a living arrangement.
Wow.
Super easy. These succulents, look at that. Have you ever seen anything like that?
No.
Looks like you could eat it, right?
Yes.
Beautiful. And then this is Creeping Jenny, which is one of my favorite things.
So
I think
pretty.
it's so pretty. Using a little bit of succulent, they go on and on. And if you plant it in this and you're done with this arrangement, take it out, put it in dirt, it'll keep going for you.
And then this is so pretty too.
Yes, I have no idea what it's called.
It's beautiful.
I call that pink and green zebra leaf. No idea what it is. But I thought it was beautiful and I liked the color.
Yes.
And so that's where the cut flowers come in. It's really easy to go to your local hardware store, your local nursery and pick up beautiful green flowers. But sometimes you want more color. You can do it from your garden. You can also do it from your grocery store. The soil you'll then make wet and you'll mist the flowers and they'll last for a really long time. I built this around 3 o'clock this afternoon and it's still very happy.
Okay, so steps, just so I know exactly what I'm doing when I do this.
Yes.
First, get your vessel, which this one's so beautiful. Then do wax paper. And then do the soil and some rock.
Yes.
Plant the succulents. And then cut the flowers and just place them around. Okay,
so you'll just build the soil level up to be around the top of everything, and then you just cut. Really simple.
That is so pretty too.
And they want to go in there. Look how happy.
This is just stunning.
And flowers are like babies. So think babies are really fragile, and then you take them to their first pediatrician appointment, and the doctor like wrestles them around. Okay, flowers are the same way. They're much more hardy than you think they are. So you can really hold the top of them and give them a good placement. And don't be afraid that you're gonna harm them.
This is just beautiful.
Thank you. So all I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna add a few more flowers for some color.
Okay.
And then because I personally don't like the dirt as a finished look, I just used a couple of river rocks. I got these from a local craft store, but you can find them. Send your kids out back to source them.
Give them an activity while you're getting ready for your dinner party.
I just put them in there because it just gives a little bit of a finished look. And it's super simple.
I mean, this is stunning.
Thank you.
Bravo, I love it.
Thank you. Would you join me at the table?
Yes,
all right,
definitely.
Let's go. It was truly an honor and a pleasure to be a part of this, and I really thank the CAA for asking me to do it. I'd like to do a special thanks to my friend Cassie Kelley for being here and giving her generous time and talent to be a part of this crazy thing we call art. I'd like to thank Alys Beach for giving us a beautiful setting in which we can film it. I'd like to say thank you to 30A.com and a special thank you to the Cultural Arts Alliance. If you enjoyed this segment on Art on Demand, please visit their website at culturalartsalliance.com and just click on the donate button. And you'll be supporting local artists throughout 30A and all of their different mediums and help to make this a more rich and diverse community. And I want you to remember, when you're setting a table, it doesn't matter what you put on it. It matters who's at it. To my friends, thank you. Cheers, and art matters.
Thank you for experiencing this episode of Art on Demand, presented by the Cultural Arts Alliance of Walton County, with support from Alys Beach, 30A.com, and the State of Florida Department of Cultural Affairs. We hope you explored your creativity and learned something new today. As the creative core of Walton County, the Cultural Arts Alliance offers support, connection, and access opportunities for all forms of art, every variety of maker, all levels of learners, and especially art lovers. Through performance, funding, and educational programs, the 501c3 organization directly connects the people of Walton County with the broader view, the critical exploration, and the answers only the arts have the power to provide. If you loved this episode, please visit culturalartsalliance.com and click the donate button to give what you can to help the CAA continue to bring you art on demand. And stay tuned for our next virtual event coming soon.